Welcome to Le Podcast de Philippe. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into something that's really kind of fascinated people for a long time now, the Fermi Paradox.
It's a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, you think about it, and it's like the universe is massive, right?
Mm,
So many stars.
uncountable.
Yeah, and planets, probably even more planets.
Yeah.
So, statistically speaking, there's got to be life out there, right?
You'd think so, statistically, yeah.
But then, well, the thing is, like, we haven't seen any real proof yet,
Yeah,
you know? No aliens saying hello.
that's the paradox, isn't it? We have all these possibilities for life, and yet we haven't found any concrete evidence of it. It's almost like, well, it's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is, like, the entire universe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of haystacks, there's been this whole thing with declassified documents and UFOs and things like that.
Right.
And some people think those documents might hold the key to solving the Fermi Paradox. Like, maybe there's proof of aliens visiting Earth right there in those files.
Oh, those documents are definitely interesting, for sure, but they often don't have that solid evidence. You know what I mean? Like the kind of evidence that would really change how we think about this whole paradox.
So you're saying we need more than just, like, unexplained events. We need hard proof.
Exactly. We need solid, verifiable data. Not just, well, we can't explain this, so it must be aliens. Science needs more than that.
Makes sense. So then how do we explain all these planets that could support life, and yet seemingly nothing out there talking to us?
Well, that's where this idea of the great filter comes in.
The great filter.
Yeah, it's this thought that there might be some kind of barrier, something that stops life from getting too advanced or from lasting long enough for us to see it.
Like a wall civilizations hit and can't get past.
Yeah. Maybe it's some kind of catastrophic event, you know, like a massive gamma ray burst wiping everything out.
Whoa.
Or maybe it's like a built-in problem with intelligent life, you know? Like we create technology that destroys us in the end.
That's kind of a dark thought, isn't it? Like, maybe we're not meant to make it past a certain point.
It's a possibility, but there are other ideas too. Like maybe civilizations just run out of resources or they mess up their environments so badly they can't survive.
I guess that could happen. So this filter could be a natural thing or something we do to ourselves, or a bit of both, maybe. It's a little scary to think about.
It does make you think.
It does, but, maybe we're just looking in the wrong way, right?
Uh,
Like, we've always focused on radio signals for finding aliens.
that's been the traditional approach, yeah. Like with SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, they use those giant radio telescopes to listen for signals from space.
Right, but what if aliens are using something totally different to communicate? Something we haven't figured out yet.
It's possible. Think about it. It'd be like trying to listen to I don't know, like a podcast on a really old radio. You wouldn't even know those signals existed.
It's like we're trying to find a book in a huge library, but we can only read one language.
Exactly. We might be missing a whole lot of information out there.
So we're limited by our own technology.
In a way, yeah. And that's why some scientists are looking at what they call technosignatures.
Technosignatures, what are those?
Well, they're signs of technology, but not necessarily messages. Like, imagine if a civilization built something massive, something we could see from far away.
Like what? Like a giant spaceship?
Maybe even bigger. Like a Dyson sphere, this hypothetical structure that surrounds a star to capture its energy.
Whoa.
It sounds crazy, but something like that would give off specific signals that we could detect.
So instead of listening for aliens talking to us, we should be looking for any signs that they're out there doing their thing, building stuff.
Precisely.
That would really open up the search, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. And there are other things we could look for, too, like unusual elements in a star's light. You know, stuff that shouldn't be there naturally.
What, like pollution from alien factories or something?
Something like that, yeah. It could be a sign of some kind of massive industrial process or even, them messing with the star itself. Stellar engineering.
Wow, that's wild. So maybe we're surrounded by signs of aliens, but we just don't know what to look for yet. But here's another thought. What if we haven't found aliens simply because we're not, well, advanced enough?
That's a real possibility, too. It could be that there's some kind of, like a technological bar, and civilizations have to reach that level before they can even be noticed by others.
So, like, we're just too primitive to show up on their radar.
Maybe. Think of it like, I don't know, like ants, where the ants crawling around and some advanced civilization is watching us, but we have no idea they're even there.
We wouldn't even know how to look for them.
Exactly. And that actually leads to a pretty interesting idea, the zoo hypothesis.
The zoo hypothesis, what's that?
It's the idea that maybe, just maybe, these advanced aliens know about us, but they're choosing to stay hidden. Like, they're observing us from afar, but not interfering.
So we're like animals in a cosmic zoo. That's kind of creepy. But why would they do that? I mean, what's their motivation?
That's a big question, isn't it? Are they protecting us from something? Or maybe waiting for us to evolve a bit more before they say hello?
Those are some pretty deep questions. It's amazing how this whole Fermi paradox makes you think about these big philosophical things.
It really does. It makes you question everything. But speaking of searching for answers, what about SETI? They've been looking for alien signals for a long time now. Have they made any progress?
Yeah, good point. What have they found?
Well, they haven't found any definite proof of aliens talking to us yet, but their work's been super important. They've gotten much better at how they look for signals, and they've learned a lot about what's out there.
So even though they haven't found ET phoning home, they're still helping us move in the right direction.
Absolutely. And they're not just listening for radio waves anymore. They're starting to look for those techno signatures too.
That's good to hear. Oh, and speaking of amazing technology, what about the James Webb Telescope? It's sending back all these incredible images from space. Is it helping us solve the Fermi paradox too?
Well, its main mission isn't specifically about finding aliens, but it's giving us a lot of valuable information. Like, it can analyze the atmospheres of planets far away.
And what does that tell us?
It can tell us if a planet might be able to support life, or even if there are already signs of life there.
So it's helping us build a better picture of what's out there, even if it's not finding aliens directly.
Exactly. Every new piece of information helps. And you never know, maybe one day the James Webb or some other telescope will see something that gives us a clear answer to this whole paradox.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about, right? Like, maybe we're just babies in terms of technology compared to some of these other civilizations out there.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the Fermi paradox so powerful. It forces us to question everything we think we know about intelligence and technology, and even what it means to be a civilization.
Yeah, and there's no easy answer, is there? That's part of what makes it so fascinating to me. Like, it's a puzzle we can't quite solve yet.
Exactly. It keeps us curious, and it reminds us that there's still so much out there we don't understand.
And every time we learn something new, it's like we get a little closer to maybe figuring it out.
Right. Even if we never find absolute proof of alien life, just the act of searching is teaching us so much. It makes us look at the universe differently, and it forces us to ask some really big questions.
It really does. Okay, but imagine for a second that we did make contact with another civilization.
hmm
What do you think would happen? How would humanity react?
Whoa, that's a huge question. I mean, would we come together as a species, or would it cause more division? Would we be excited to learn from them, or scared of what they might do?
Yeah, it would be a total game changer. It's hard to even imagine.
It really is. It's something philosophers and scientists could debate for centuries, I think. It touches on everything. Our science, our technology, even our religious beliefs. It would change how we see ourselves and our place in the universe.
It's incredible to think about. But for now, we're still left with this mystery, this Fermi paradox.
And maybe that's a good thing. It keeps us exploring, keeps us wondering.
I guess you're right. Well, we've come to the end of our deep dive into the Fermi paradox. Hopefully it's gotten everyone thinking about the big questions out there.
And if anyone wants to dig even deeper, explore some different ideas, I'd recommend checking out ChatGPT version 03 Mini. You can ask it about the Fermi paradox, and it can give you some more information and different perspectives.
Sounds like a plan. So keep those minds curious, everyone. Keep looking up at the stars, and never stop wondering about what else is out there. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube and give this video a like. Until next time, happy exploring.